at welterweight. Who do you think is going to win on Saturday at UFC 317 between Ilya and Charles Oliveira?
It's good questions. It depends, man. Who can follow his MMA? Who can follow his game plan? You know, if Charles can take him down, he can finish him easy in the ground.
Islam Makhachev claims Charles Oliveira will destroy Ila Topuria if he sticks to the plan, but warns one mistake means instant knockouts.
There's never been a two-time lightweight champion. Charles will be the first if he wins. That would be a big accomplishment.
Well, I don't know about it, but he have chance. He have big chance, you know.
Yeah.
And he always fight good against the striking, you know, striking.
Islam Makhachev, the former UFC lightweight champion, has stirred the pot ahead of UFC 317 by sharing a bold opinion. Charles Oliveira has a real shot at defeating Ila Topuria if he can stick to the game plan. The MMA world has been buzzing with predictions about the highly anticipated lightweight title clash, and Makhachev's thoughts add more fire to an already intense matchup. According to the Dagestani Star, it's not just about skill or power this time, it's about strategy and execution.
He was a guy who was kind of known as a guy who fell apart.
A quitter a little bit. Yeah.
Cub Swanson knocked him out. A bunch of guys had beat
Max
him.
Holloway had like that weird neck thing going on.
Not gonna mess around. He maybe is. If this. Oh no. Oh, looks like an injury.
Then everybody was calling him a quitter. All this, and it's like,
and he just turned a corner and then became the baddest in the weight class.
Yeah.
And not just the baddest in the weight class, but one of the best motherfuckers in the sport. When he knocked out Chandler, he beat the shit out of Gaethje. When he was putting it on people, you got to go, God damn, he's good.
I'm curious to see if he comes back and gets back to that Islam fight.
He sees this bout as a true 50-50 contest. According to Makhachev, the result will come down to which fighter is able to implement their strengths better. He believes that Oliveira has the tools to pull off the upset, but only if he can take the fight to the ground. In that scenario, Makhachev envisions Oliveira using his world-class jiu-jitsu to finish the fight. On the other hand, he acknowledges that if Topuria connects cleanly with his powerful hands, it could be lights out for the Brazilian. It's a razor-thin margin between victory and defeat, and the winner will be the one who executes their game plan more effectively.
Ila Topuria, he's a little smaller against, I think he's a little bit smaller against the Charles, but he also has crazy hands, beautiful boxing, strong hands. Featherweight is featherweight, they're dangerous, but honestly lightweight is the craziest, hardest division in the UFC. This is challenge for him. Now we see how he adapt for that, you know, because featherweight is not lightweight, lightweight is big difference.
Topuria comes into UFC 317 riding an unblemished record of 16 wins with no losses. He's impressed fans and analysts alike with his slick technique, sharp striking, and knockout power. His rise through the featherweight division culminated in a dominant win over former champion Alexander Volkanovski, and now he's set his sights on becoming a two-division force. With an 8-0 run in the UFC so far, Topuria is the betting favorite for good reason.
There's a lot of lightweights who are doing well. Charles, Arman, you know, and guys coming up. Did you feel that outside of Islam that Charles is the best lightweight that you could have fought?
100%. He's the best lightweight right now. If we don't count Islam, he's the best after him.
But Oliveira is no stranger to being the underdog. The Brazilian veteran has been fighting in the UFC for nearly 15 years and has one of the most decorated resumes in the sport. With a record of 35-10-23 wins inside the UFC, he holds all-time records for most finishes and most submissions, 16 in the promotion's history. Even after a loss to Makhachev in 2022, Oliveira bounced back, winning 2 of his next 3 fights. He's proven time and again that if an opponent underestimates him, even for a moment, they risk getting finished.
For a long time, Islam Makhachev was your objective and your goal, and then obviously things change. I would like to know, is he still in your radar? Do you still think of him? Would you consider going up a weight division to chase him?
No. Eu não penso nisso, estou focado completamente na nossa divisão. Eu não estou focado no Isla, nem em ninguém, eu estava focado em um título e é isso que eu estou focado ainda. Quero se tornar campeão dessa divisão e eu não tenho nenhuma vontade de subir de categoria agora nesse momento.
No, never, I was not thinking about Islam, and I wasn't chasing Islam. I was thinking about the one thing that I wanted is to be a champion and to fight for the belt, and that's what I wanted. I am not thinking about that, and I haven't given a thought about moving up a weight division.
Meanwhile, during fight week, both Oliveira and Topuria had a few respectful encounters behind the scenes. One of those took place in the sauna during their weight cuts. Even though Topuria has talked confidently and made bold predictions, the run-in was marked by mutual respect. Topuria emphasized that for him, the fight is never personal. It's just part of the journey of chasing dreams in the cage. Their interactions backstage show the professional side of two elite competitors preparing for war. Despite the sportsmanship, there's no shortage of tension between the two fighters. Oliveira has made it clear that he's coming into this fight with a point to prove. He's aiming to become the first two-time lightweight champion in UFC history and cement his legacy as one of the all-time greats. For Oliveira, this fight isn't just about reclaiming gold. It's about reminding everyone who he is. He believes that people are underestimating him simply because Topuria is younger and undefeated. But in Oliveira's view, there's still a lot the Spanish-Georgian contender needs to prove. He's hungry, focused, and prepared to shock the world once again. Oliveira brushed off Topuria's trash talk and confidence, saying he's heard it all before. From his perspective, Topuria is just another opponent talking tough before folding under pressure. He plans to break Topuria's will and show that experience, composure, and danger in every position can trump raw hype.
Charles, you mentioned a lot of the mental edges in terms of legacy and history, hunger and thirst, a lot of things coming into the octagon. Can you mention contrasting styles or what he does or doesn't do that can't match what you can do, or in terms of what you prepared for?
Na realidade, sendo bem verdadeiro, é que ninguém nem nada nessa vida vai me bater mais do que a vida já me bateu. Então, por isso, o que esses caras falam, o que esses caras pensam que vão deixar de fazer, pra mim não faz diferença nenhuma.
In reality, it doesn't matter how hard someone hits me or they bring to the table. No one's ever gonna hit me harder than life has hit me. So what people say, what people do, and what people can do against me, it really doesn't matter.
Topuria, for his part, hasn't held back in expressing how confident he feels heading into the fight. Speaking to media during fight week, he scoffed at Oliveira's legendary status and pointed directly to his record. The undefeated star bluntly reminded everyone that Oliveira has already lost 10 times, and in every imaginable way, by knockout, submission, and decision. According to Topuria, adding one more loss to that tally won't be an issue. When asked about Oliveira's submission and finish records, Topuria didn't blink. He believes that none of Oliveira's past opponents match what he brings to the table. In fact, he even said he could submit Oliveira if the fight goes to the ground, expressing confidence in his grappling just as much as his striking. Topuria insisted he's better everywhere, on the feet and on the mat, and that Oliveira has never faced someone with his complete skill set.
To be honest, I can knock him out, I can submit him, whatever. The only thing I know for sure is that I'm gonna knock him out in the first round or submit him in the first round because he walks forward. I feel that I have the advantage in the grappling game also. I feel and I know that I'm better than him even in the ground game. I'm not gonna need to close the distance with him. Since the first moment we are gonna find each other in the center of the octagon, so it's gonna be a first round finish.
Robert Whitaker expressed deep respect for both competitors, but admitted he feels a personal connection to Oliveira's story. The Brazilian's career, once marked by early doubts and criticism, has become one of the sport's most remarkable transformations. Whitaker credited Oliveira for turning his reputation around through resilience and relentless improvement, evolving into one of the UFC's most dangerous finishers.
Okay, so I think all the support that's going, obviously Charles Oliveira is a weapon of a fighter. I'm a big fan of his, big fan of Ilya as well, but I love Charles. Who doesn't love the story that he has? Okay, the heart that, like, he used to be such a quitter in those early days of UFC, and he just stopped quitting. He found something in him and came back with a vengeance all the way to the title to become champion. I think though a lot of Ilya is a different beast. Okay, I think a lot of the support that's going towards Charles winning this fight comes from the fact that we don't know what Ilya is going to look like moving up. Now, I've seen a lot of photos circulating of like Ilya next to the Chihuahua guy, and then Charles next to the Chihuahua guy. Sorry, dude. What? That's is that his nickname?
Go on. I'm sorry for stopping you.
Talking about.
Yeah, I do.
And then they're looking at size discrepancies. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think if they were in, if weight wasn't in the equation, I don't think it would. I think Ilya would be a huge...
Still, sentiment didn't cloud Whitaker's judgment. From a tactical standpoint, he raised some red flags about Oliveira's chances. Specifically, he questioned whether the former champion could handle Topuria's unique fighting style, citing Topuria's dominant performances against featherweight greats like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. Whitaker suggested that Oliveira might struggle with the compact powerhouse. In his view, Topuria's strength and tight technical approach could present serious problems for someone like Oliveira, who often absorbs a lot of damage in exchanges before finding openings.
Ilya is a weapon. What he did to Volk and what he did to Max, two of the best featherweights, Volk being the best featherweight to have ever done it.
Yeah.
Okay? He starched two legends of the sport. Okay, that is
crazy,
unreal. Man. Ilya's skill set is ridiculous. Now again, Charles is phenomenal as well. Super dangerous off his back. Ilya has the grappling to do it. Charles standing, very textbook, but gets hit a lot. Ilya loves scrapping, loves moving on the inside, loves slipping punches to land punches. He's so good at dirty boxing. I just don't see where Charles wins his fight against Ilya.
Lightweight veteran Dustin Poirier, who once shared the cage with Oliveira in a title fight, also joined the conversation. Reflecting on their 2021 clash, Poirier offered strategic insight on how Oliveira could succeed. He recalled how Oliveira's smart pressure and range management were crucial in their fight, particularly his tendency to either fully commit to clinches or remain in kicking range, carefully avoiding prolonged boxing exchanges. Poirier advised that a similar approach would be vital against Topuria. Trading in close quarters with someone as explosive and compact as Ilya could prove dangerous, and Oliveira's safest route would be to either smother or stay elusive.
Ilya versus Charles fight? I think Ilya, man. I think he's going to be way undersized against Charles. I just don't, unless Charles can sub him, maybe if he hurts him, but it's going to be tough, I think. Because Charles gets hit a lot, you know, and Ilya puts people away. I'm excited about it.
Poirier added another layer of caution. Topuria's confidence in his grappling might actually work in Oliveira's favor. Unlike many who avoid the ground with the Brazilian, Topuria may willingly follow him there, which could open up submission opportunities. Still, Poirier warned that when opponents don't fear Oliveira's guard and bring aggression to the mat, the Brazilian has occasionally appeared to falter mentally. For Oliveira to win, he'll need to impose his will early and avoid getting lured into striking battles where Topuria thrives.
I want to start with Ilya here, Dustin. Obviously, everyone praising his boxing, saying he's one of the best out there. When you watch this guy, like, what makes his boxing so good and effective?
Just good work, the crispness of his the shots he throws out, his technique, his positioning. I mean, a lot of stuff, man. He's really, really good and really dangerous. And he was putting people away at 145. To see him going up to 55, and he's gonna have more ass in those punches. You know, he's a very dangerous guy. Like I said when I was working for ESPN during the Max fight, like he's everything he said he was coming into that fight, and he proved it.
Yeah, I guess I feel like everyone's just assuming it's a given. The power will translate. Like, obviously, he kind of had that death touch a little bit at 45, but like it kind of reminds me of Conor. He was, stiffing guys at 45, but then he had to knock Eddie Alvarez down 3 times before finishing him, and like stuff like that. So is it wrong to just assume 100% it's going to be that same type of power or more?
It's tough to say. It depends how his speed comes over to 55 because he's good in the pocket. But his technique, without a doubt, is going to transfer over to 155. And I think he's putting away guys with power, but with skill, with more skill. Of course, the guy can punch. He's going to have more weight to punch with now, but it's technique and timing that's really hitting guys at the right time, at the right angle, that are putting people down, man. Charles does get hit a lot. You know, I got some people shitting on me on Twitter for saying I think Ilya's gonna beat Charles after Full Violence posted that video of me saying that in the boxing gym. But that's just what I think. Charles does take a lot of shots, and Ilya's a guy we haven't seen it really, but he's confident in his jiu-jitsu. He's gonna follow Charles down. You know, when I hurt Charles, and it's rinse and repeat, a lot of guys have hurt Charles, but we don't follow. We try to make him get back up and touch him again. You know, I think Ilya, if he does sit Charles down, he's going to follow him up, get into his guard. And we've seen Charles, like when guys go into his guard and play jiu-jitsu with him and aren't afraid of that, kind of, he starts breaking a little bit, I think. But we'll see when Charles shows up. It's a fun fight. It's a fun matchup. I think Charles needs to fight Ilya the same way he fought me. He was all the way in, or he was all the way out. He never really fought me at that boxing range. If he was in, it was clinch work, body locks, you know, a lot of energy, but he smothered my boxing. Or he was at kicking range using those long front kicks. He's a long rangey guy. He needs to be all the way in or all the way out. He cannot play the boxing pocket game. You know, he needs to be clinching. He doesn't need to be exchanging shots in the pocket with the shorter guy who can crack.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing too, and it was further emphasized. I just saw a stat before we started recording here. Ila Topuria has not thrown a head kick or a body kick in his entire UFC career.
Featherweight king Alexander Volkanovski, who once lost his title to Topuria, has been among the most vocal in predicting how the fight will unfold. In his view, Topuria's intensity and relentless forward movement will simply overwhelm Oliveira. Volkanovski highlighted Topuria's pressure as his most dangerous weapon, noting that even when he absorbs shots, he continues firing back without hesitation. He believes that type of unrelenting aggression could cause major issues for Oliveira, who is known for engaging in risky exchanges and sometimes leaving himself vulnerable.
UFC 317 this weekend. I'm going to give you my predictions on the co-main and main event, and I'm going to keep it pretty short because I think it's going to be two finishes. I think Kai Kara-France is going to take this opportunity, bring the belt back to New Zealand. In early rounds, I think he can get the finish. I know it's going to be a tough fight. Pantoja's so tough, but I believe Kai can catch him. So I'm going to go with maybe an early finish for Kai Kara-France. And then in the main event, I'm going to go another finish. I think this is going to be fireworks from the start, but I think it finishes early. And I'm leaning towards Ila Topuria. I think Ila Topuria is going to be the new lightweight champion, which is going to be absolutely crazy. So it's going to be crazy scenes there in Vegas. I'll be there to watch it. Cannot wait. So catch the fights on KO Sports via main event, 12 p.m. Sunday. It's going to be a good one. Don't want to miss it.
Offering a contrasting perspective, UFC flyweight champion Alexandre Pantoja, a fellow Brazilian and teammate of Oliveira, voiced strong support for his countrymen. Preparing for his own bout on the same card, Pantoja described Oliveira's fighting style as suffocating and methodical, likening it to a predator gradually constricting its prey. He pointed out that Oliveira's blend of knockout power and high-level grappling makes him a multifaceted threat. If the fight goes to the ground, Pantoja believes Topuria will need to be extremely cautious, as any lapse could allow Oliveira to quickly take control and finish the bout.
I think that's everybody know what's can happen. You know, Topuria have amazing power in his hand, but of course, people talk about the Topuria grappling. He never show and something like that. It's like a very good chance if you can see that. You know, if he Charles putting his game like that, you know, I look to Charles and remind me in my head the animal like a anaconda, you know, like the anaconda from Brazil, Amazonas, like a big snake, you know, gonna involve you and squeeze little by little, you know. That's Charles Oliveira. I think he go to that game plan. He can bring this belt back to Brazil, but if not, he's gonna give the opportunity to Topuria, connect his hand, to put it short. He know how to fight with the big guys. He's stronger. Yeah, it's amazing fight. I think that's why everybody want to watch that fight. You know, that's so big because nobody know what can happen, you know.
Beneil Dariush, who faced Oliveira and was finished by him in the first round, also chimed in. While praising Oliveira's chaotic and unpredictable attack, Dariush leaned slightly toward Topuria based on physical advantages. He pointed out Topuria's strong Greco-Roman wrestling base and solid boxing fundamentals as key assets that could neutralize Oliveira's offense. From his perspective, if Topuria can maintain top control and avoid dangerous submission scrambles, he could dominate in areas where most fighters struggle. He sees the key to victory being Topuria's ability to dictate pace and position, rather than allowing Oliveira's offense to unfold.
They're overlooking Charles, and Charles, if he's able to mix in his Muay Thai, what I mean, like his knees and his kicks, and he's able to use those as fakes, it's going to be a really difficult fight for Ilya. And I think people don't understand. The last two fights, Ilya was able to win those fights, not because of his boxing, but because of his leg kicks. And Charles is very good at defending the leg kick. So it's not going to be an easy fight.
Hey, I also got to bring this up with you, man. He was doing an interview with Shaq, who's a really great journalist. He has a page, Shaq MMA. And I had a look, man. Look at this right here. I don't know if you can really see the video, but over his eye, looks like a new cut that was just sort of stitched up right here. What does that look like to you? I was having a look with Brian Campbell on this before. Looks like a cut right over the eye that looks pretty fresh that got stitched up not long ago. I wonder how much. Yeah.
If it's already stitched up, then he'll be fine. It won't be much of an issue. Cuts like that take 5 days to heal. And
really?
It takes 5 days to heal, but then you're not supposed to spar for a few weeks. So it could slow down his camp, but it shouldn't be anything dramatic.
Adding even more buzz to the discussion, Jorge Masvidal gave his enthusiastic backing to Topuria. Known for his brutal honesty and fight IQ, Masvidal didn't mince words in calling Ilya a rare talent. He praised the unbeaten contender's complete arsenal, from striking and wrestling to composure under pressure. Masvidal emphasized that Topuria possesses not just skill, but the kind of fight-ending awareness that sets elite fighters apart. He predicted that Oliveira's defensive vulnerabilities would be a key weakness Topuria could exploit, and he's confident that Topuria will leave UFC 317 with the lightweight title firmly around his waist.
Charles is bigger, Charles has kicks, knees, elbows, great jiu-jitsu, but Ilya is just different, brother. This guy is special. And I think he's going to be a world champion at 155. He's going to beat Charles, man.
I'd bet the house on Ilya. His grappling, offensively, it's very good. If like you shooting on this guy's legs and you make a mistake and you're the one going for the takedown, he has a very good chance that he might put your ass to sleep.
With all the storylines converging, Makhachev's departure from the division, Oliveira's shot at redemption, and Topuria's quest for two-division greatness, UFC 317 is shaping up to be a defining event in the lightweight division. Whether it's the experience and submission arsenal of Oliveira or the undefeated storm that is Topuria, fans are in for a thrilling and unpredictable ride. One thing is certain, if either man makes a mistake or strays from the plan, it could all be over in a heartbeat.